Koepii Studio.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kai Chalmers, and you're tuning in to Koepii Studios, this brand new hub we've created. We're going to be talking to some very interesting guests, some really cool people, and for our first amazing guest today, it's none other than the awesome, talented Mark O.D.
Hey, thank you so much for saying I'm interesting. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. I'll hype you up. What am I supposed to say again? What did I miss? But Mark, thank you so much for joining us on our very first episode. Very exciting. We're friends right now.
Yeah, this is really weird because Kai's like one of my really good friends, and now he's like interviewing me. So this is like really weird, but really cool at the same time.
Yeah, I get to hear more bass in our interactions when we talk now. Like, hey, Mark, how's it going? So obviously, like a lot of people know you as a content creator. You do a lot of awesome parodies, and that's great and all. But I feel like since I've gotten to know you and we bonded, nobody really knows your past and what you did. Back then when you were part of London Boys and stuff.
Yep.
You actually came from, was it a world of musical theater? Like you were training to become, or not become, but to be on the West End. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's actually how me and Kai bonded.
That's true.
We both had the same passion for musical theatre. And in Malaysia, not many people know too much about musical theatre. I think there's so many talented people here, but there's maybe not enough opportunities or shows and stuff. So yeah, I basically come from a family where I had a single mum, and she used to take us dancing when we were like 4 or 5 years old.
Like what kind of dance? Like ballet?
Hip hop would be the first one.
Okay.
And then it kind of evolved to like tap dancing and like jazz.
Nice.
And as a boy in my town, which is kind of like a rough area in England, a place called Gravesend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, doesn't sound
you
nice
don't
as well.
say, Mark.
Yeah.
You don't say. What, like a smashed up Sainsbury?
Basically like that.
No.
And it was weird being a boy that kind of danced. And at my school, for example, like I didn't get bullied at school, but people would make fun of me because like where I'm from, you don't do dancing.
Right.
In the UK, and we looked into like maybe performing arts schools because we had a friend who went to this really prestigious school called the Sylvia Young Theatre School.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which has a lot of famous people that went there.
Yes.
And I auditioned with no like ballet experience. My singing wasn't good. Acting was okay. I just auditioned, and the fees to this school were like mental. Like probably like in ringgit, it would probably be about 30K per term.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just for school.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Because
Okay.
you have like singing, acting, dancing, like, Monday to Friday.
Yep.
And I just auditioned, didn't think I was going to get in, got in. And then there was another round where you're competing for a scholarship because we couldn't afford the fees. And I got a scholarship.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, wow, this is a crazy opportunity. I had to take a train to London like every day. So I'd wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Just to go to this like school and kind of train. And yeah, Rita Ora was a classmate of mine. She was in my year at school.
Rita Ora was, who's she again? She sounds super familiar.
Famous singer, very famous singer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Very out of touch, Kai.
I mean, Rita Ora, I'm like, this is for the views. This is for the viewers. They need to know who you're talking about.
But so that's my kind of upbringing. And then I went to musical theatre college after that.
Yeah.
And
So what was that like?
it was great. I loved it because I think from a young age, all I wanted to do was like perform. I loved being on stage. I was in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang on the West End.
Oh, nice.
When I was like 11 years old.
Wow. Okay.
So that was a really cool experience. And when I was on the stage, the adrenaline, I was like, this is what I want to do. I love this. I love singing. And as I went to college, I we had to do things like ballet, like
Yep.
for an hour a day,
Yep.
which is mental. Like,
And you're not doing it just one day, right? You're doing it like quite a few
Yeah.
times a week, I imagine.
I tell people because I like football and I like boys stuff.
Yep.
People never believe that like, oh, you didn't do ballet, and I will whack out like a pirouette at the club sometimes.
Actually, he's gonna do
Just
one
to
right
prove
now. Actually, that's how we like bond. Is like,
Exactly.
Are you gonna do a double pirouette?
Yeah,
I'll do a double
yeah.
pirouette.
So like it's not really a flex, but I mean some girls who do ballet, they're like, oh my god, you actually did. So yeah, I went to college, performing arts college.
Yep.
A lot of fun. Auditioned for a few things after I left college. And then I got the offer to come to Malaysia to be in this really crap boy band.
Very nice.
Called the London Boys. Hence
Yes.
crap. The name is already terrible.
None of you were from London either, right?
Technically, I was.
Technically, yes.
Because I was quite close to London. The other guy
Okay.
was from Scotland. The other guy was from Liverpool. So
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Should call you the England boys, but it doesn't have the same same ring, right?
exactly.
Mm. So it was like a One Direction kind of vibey boy band thing, right?
I think more like the wrong direction. But like it
Okay.
was, to be fair, as much as I criticize it, if it wasn't for that boy band, I wouldn't have come to Malaysia and fallen in love with this country.
Right.
So it was shit. Can I say that word?
Yeah, just say whatever you want.
It was terrible. But if it wasn't for that opportunity, I wouldn't have come here and found out about this amazing country, seen how nice the beaches are, meet the people here, and just think, damn, this is a really cool place to live. So yeah.
Nice. And so, you know, you did the whole musical theater thing. You came here through London Boys, and then you went into content creation. Oh no,
Yeah,
it was then to Astro, right?
So I joined Media Prima. I was a host on the ATV Quickie.
Right.
And then Astro sports presenting. And then, you know, I've just been doing content creation maybe for the last five years as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So my question is, from, you know, doing your content creation and all that, are there any like lessons or any skill sets that you've taken from those early days that still apply to you now when you approach your content creation?
Oh, 100%.
projects?
I'm not doing musical theatre now. I'm not in any shows. I'm not singing. But actually, as a content creator, that you can use those things. For example, we've done some parodies together.
We have.
If I couldn't sing, if I hadn't had the training, it would have been a nightmare to edit those sound clips. So I have the singing background for kind of parodies. I think being a sports presenter, we did classes in musical theatre like voice.
You did classes of musical theater for sports?
No, I mean, as a sports presenter,
as a
like
sports presenter,
now,
right.
having like voice lessons.
Right, yeah.
And even acting, you know, how you present yourself, you know, like your expressions, your gestures, your tone of voice. I think that all kind of helps when you're on TV. And we had classes like acting on camera. And acting is the main thing as well. I'm super comfortable on camera. I can talk for days. If I'm doing a skit with somebody else, I'm very happy to be on camera. Whereas some of my friends who haven't had the experience, they'll be very shy or camera shy.
Or just like awkward.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas because I've been doing musicals and stage since I was young, I've got no problems going on TV or camera and making a fool of myself. Yeah.
Right. And then, you know, because like being on camera, you know, it's so different from stage, right? Because stage, you have the freedom to really like roam about. Yes, you have your marks and stuff, but on camera, it's you're starting from not necessarily from the beginning. You're cutting in the middle, filming the end, and then you got to watch like you don't go out of frame, right?
Yeah.
So from the stage going into that, was that an easy transition?
No, that was the hardest thing because even when I left musical theatre college and I auditioned for some like TV shows and even when I've done some films in Malaysia, coming from a stage background, we are always used to kind of overperforming because when you're on stage, you have to give more because you have to.
The person in the back's got to see what you're doing, right?
Your hand expressions, the way you talk, everything. Whereas on camera, because the shots are like much smaller and tighter, if you do all this, you're out of shot. You know, like I'm probably moving around too much on this podcast as well.
No, I'm used to the same thing. I'm like you know, juggling and hand gestures and stuff. So it
like,
does happen.
For TV and film, it's completely different. But I think in Malaysia, it's okay because I think a lot of Malaysian TV shows are very over the top, very slapstick. You have to they want more.
Like melodramatic and stuff like that.
Yeah, whereas UK is more sarcastic. Whereas I think Malaysia, it's a very over the top. Some of the comedy shows here and stuff as well. So if you're a bit more flamboyant and you're a bit more expressionate, I think it's okay. Yeah.
When you're doing your content creation, I already asked about your past doing different things. What do you think is the future of content creation here?
Right. I think content creation here, there's so many opportunities. I mean, look at you guys just now. You've started a podcast.
That's true.
It's the first episode, I think. Right?
Yeah, it's the very first episode.
Nice. And I think maybe 10 years ago, like podcasts weren't a thing. You didn't have like the latest cameras available. It was only TV stuff. You would only have TV interviews. Now anyone can be a TV show. And this is what I say to content creators, because I feel like content creators don't get the credit they deserve, because you look at like in countries, like artists and actors, they are considered like celebrities, like, oh, these guys, whereas content creators, honestly speaking, in my opinion, I think if you're a content creator, you are your own TV show. You know, like some TV shows can't even get like 100,000 viewers for an episode. Whereas
yeah, that's true.
there are some content creators who are getting like 1 million views per reel, per thing. So technically, they are a bigger deal than this TV show or something. And I think like, there is if you produce good content, if you do good stuff, like you are your own TV show and you can like go far, Do
you think that the thing is with content creation is there seems to be a sort of, especially when you throw in the term influencer, there's such a like negative connotation, right? Because I think some people there's so many different types of content creation, right?
Yeah.
Like you can have good TV and shit TV.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then somehow content creators kind of all get lumped into like, oh, you're your own TV show, but you're not as good as whatever that's out there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like, what do you say to people who have that sort of perspective?
I actually think most TV shows and films are probably better produced and, better cameras, better lighting and stuff. But what I mean is like the reach you can get from a content creator.
Right.
You can, say if I put out a video, that video could trend in Thailand, Vietnam, America, Nigeria, Uganda. Like it's on TikTok and Instagram, you have the chance to show the world who you are. Whereas if you're doing like a TV show, it's not going to get shown to all those countries unless it's on Netflix, for example.
Yeah, I mean now you have such a rise, especially in China, and now like TikTok dramas and things like that.
Yeah.
Literally episodes are a minute. And then it's just consumable. Next day, the next episode's out. And they just managed to... I think in China, I remember watching a video of like actual TV directors going, yeah, I make TikTok dramas now. I don't actually make dramas because it's just quick. Turnover's fast.
Yeah.
You shoot it all in one place, one day, boom, next.
And as somebody who, started off doing YouTube and loved making like long form content and skits, it sucks. Like it really sucks. But it's just how it is because people's attention span nowadays.
Yeah, it's so short, right?
You go to like the mamak or you go somewhere, you see like people on their phones. It's not like this. It's like this. You need, when you make a video, the first 5 seconds has to be like, like this is why you're doing this, or people are just going to be like, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to watch. Yeah.
Right.
So we need to say something controversial and then you can use that for the first 5 seconds of this. And then people will watch it, yeah.
Mark is a vampire and has murdered 85 people.
True.
Mark is a giant beans on toast disguised as a human being. And we're going to expose it all.
Sounds about right.
Gotcha. English breakfast like team coming in. Mark, you left us. How could you? But, okay, I want to go back to the early days and the musical theater and arts stuff.
Yeah.
Because I want to know in this day and age, do you think there's still value in pursuing a performing arts degree or performing arts training? Do you think that's still valuable in today's age?
You talking about Malaysia or the world?
Let's start with Malaysia.
Okay, I think Malaysia, there's not enough opportunities for musical theatre, for sure. Which is a shame because I think there's so many talented people in Malaysia. I've been to some shows and I'm like, wow, this guy's got an amazing voice. Imagine if he went to like a prestigious school or something,
Yeah.
you know, like you did, like you went to Arts Ed, you're Malaysian. I think there are some great shows as
Yeah.
well. Maybe not enough awareness about some shows because
Yeah.
there's some friends who I know who do shows, and I find out about these shows after they've done them, and I'm like, oh my god, I missed it. Like, there's not enough. I don't know why, if there's not enough money to advertise them or what, but I think I would love to see a better performing arts scene here. I'm not saying it's not good. I just think there could be more shows. I think there could be more awareness. In London, for example, I
Right.
think 80% of the population has probably watched a West End show, a musical before.
Yep.
I think in Malaysia, I wouldn't say 80% of people in Klang Valley have gone to, is it KL Pack or the
KL
PJ
Pack
Art?
or PJ Pack.
I
or-
don't think they probably have. If we were to do a poll, I don't think it's like a kind of like a thing that, oh, let's do this. I think it's more of a niche thing. Whereas in other
Right.
countries, it's more like, oh yes, let's watch this show. And I think people should be encouraged to go watch those more. I don't know how they could do that. Like more social media stuff, more kind of showing off like how talented they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you agree that there's not enough awareness about how good the musical theatre scene is here?
I think it's just not really part of the culture, you know?
Yeah.
Like we do have people who go to musicals, like people who go to overseas, like visiting London or like New York will
Yeah,
probably have seen a show or would have seen like the billboard and lights, right? But I don't think there's enough to sustain shows here per se.
Yeah.
Like there's never a show that really, there've been very few shows. I think there's only been one show that's like been running for a year and that's not playing anymore.
Yeah.
But shows usually are like, you know, a month.
Yeah. But Ola Bola was great. That was a
Yeah.
musical. That was really good.
Yeah, that ran for like a month and a bit and it had a couple seasons.
Yeah.
But that's like the few and far between, right? So I don't think that's really in the culture and it's just very expensive.
Yeah.
And I think we're moving into an age where people, if they can, would rather not. The thing is, in Malaysia, there's a culture of not really wanting to spend money for your entertainment. Like I grew up, and a lot of people, you know, the millennials and before that, we grew up going to Pasar Malams to buy pirated DVD.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's cheap, we can consume it. Going to the cinema is fine, but
Yeah.
you know, why am I paying $100, 100 ringgit for a Blu-ray when there's a guy who will give it to me for $5?
Yeah. Or they want free tickets to things they won't want to pay and support.
Yeah, so a lot of the shows actually, from what I hear, is you get like a bank will sponsor a whole bunch of seats, and then people just kind of show up or not. So it could be fully booked out.
Yeah.
But then like when the performance takes place, it's like 60% filled up,
Yeah.
70% filled up. People are also quite last minute here, I feel. Like,
Yeah.
You know, you see, like, it's
Oh, of
just in
course.
all our friends and stuff. It's not a bad thing, but
Can you tell them I was 15 minutes early today?
yes, Mark was
No Malaysian timing.
15 minutes early.
Thank you.
So you need to, everyone take note because Mark is on time, unlike some people I know. Hello, I'm looking at you, Brenda. But yeah, there's a culture of just like, do you want to go? And it's like,
Yeah.
I haven't even left the house.
Okay,
and I'm
tell
like,
me,
nah.
tell me, what was the last Malaysian musical that was on TV? And the only one I can think of
On
was
TV?
the P. Ramlee, the
You mean like a musical that like goes on TV?
Yeah.
Or
something like this on Netflix, something that's shown on like TVT Go or Astro.
oh wow,
Because
okay.
that could be a way to kind of, you know, like Ola Bola, for example, that was a hit. You know,
Yeah,
they
that was a
made
big
made the
thing.
movie,
Yeah.
but it was a musical. But say something like that they turned into a musical. I can't really on the top of my head think of one that was stood out. And I feel like there's so many talented musicians, so many talented singers,
So many.
composers. What if they just like got some money together and said, you know what, let's show how talented we are, and there's like an amazing Malaysian-made musical film that you can watch on Netflix, or that would be quite cool.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like so basically like a musical that's on a TV platform. Like, did you ever watch Schmigadoon?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like something like that,
Yeah,
right?
or like The Prom that was on Netflix.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Things like that would be quite
Like a
cool.
musical movie. Because I know
Yeah.
Singapore and Indonesia, they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they have, you know, Singapore, the gotta be careful how I frame these words. Oh no, no, I'm kidding. I don't know. I think there's just a different sort of arts culture there. You know.
Yeah.
They're trying to attract people. They want to build a sort of
Well, all the shows go to Singapore, don't they?
all the touring shows go
every
there.
few months. I think the last one we had like Hairspray came here. There was a Sound and Music was here as well.
Sound and Music
recently.
was here.
Yeah, but they don't come enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we have the facilities to properly sustain them for a long. Like, you know, you go to Marina Bay Sands. You know, there's a facility to have that Esplanade. You've got these facilities, but you know, if I were to name one here, the only one I can think of is like Istana Budaya, right?
Yeah.
And they do a lot of different things. So how do you? And I don't know what the scheduling is like, right? So I just think it's just there's a whole complex web that I don't even fully understand. That is just probably really complex and complicated. And to do anything big, any kind of event is just a bit of a pain. Honestly, right?
True.
But like going back, you know, having that sort of training, because you did it. I also, in part, did my version of training in the arts, and then here we are as adults working, doing our own thing.
Yeah.
You think it's still like, do you still think it's useful?
Okay, I certainly wouldn't advise my kids. Sorry, my future kids. I don't have kids now. To maybe not go to musical theatre college, which sounds crazy because I did. And even my granddad, who was a really successful businessman, he was the only one in my family that was like, don't go to performing arts school. You know, you're going to come out with no qualifications that are useful. I kind of get why he said that because honestly speaking, like even when I left performing arts college, like there weren't a lot of musical jobs out there, and there were so many talented kids from so many schools and not enough shows and kind of demand for it.
That's kind of crazy because that's in the UK as well, like the land of shows.
Yeah. So like, I wouldn't advise it. If my kid said to me, Dad, like, you know, I love musical theatre, it's what I want to do, I would support them. Because I think, you know, I come from a family where, you know, my mum, you know, let me chase my dreams or whatever. So I would do the same thing. But I think right now, I wouldn't say it's a great kind of world for musical theatre because I think, like I said, back in the day, yes. Now, because of these, people spend more time on their phones, online, rather than kind of going out to shows and stuff. So I think like it's kind of declined slightly. Yeah.
So say somebody did pursue a future in the performing arts, what would you say would be something that's useful that could help them in case, you know, God forbid it doesn't work out, or it does work out, but they have something to supplement them? Would it be like something in business studies or understanding stocks? Like what would that be?
Well, teaching, I think, is a great
Teaching,
one.
okay.
Because I always, when I was younger, I either wanted to be like a footballer, like a teacher, and also like performing arts. So I said to myself, if I don't make it in the performing arts industry, I can turn my diploma into like a kind of teaching diploma, and then I can teach because I'll still be doing performing arts and I'll be teaching. So I think there are things you can do with it, but it is kind of limited. So I would say if you want to pursue musical theatre, have a reality check, like make sure you're good. Like don't just like let your mum, because there were so many kids in my year who were not good, and I'm just thinking to myself, like your parents have like sold
sunk
you a
money
dream
and
because you're never going to be on the stage, like not in a nasty way. It's just like they can't sing that well, and you compare them to other kids from other schools, and you're like, yeah, your parents are wasting so much money for you to come to this school. There's not enough job. Like there's like 60 of us in a year. We're all going to graduate,
and that's just 1 year.
Exactly. Like
Oh
there's
my
not
God.
even
and
60
that's just one
shows.
school.
Not even 60 shows.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's why so many people go into cruises.
Yeah.
And
But I think, Kai, there are some skills you can take from it. Like, I'm not saying you have to pursue performing arts as like a degree or diploma, but like summer camps and, you know, like kind of
Summer camps.
Saturday classes. I think there could be more of those in Malaysia.
Yeah,
because
actually.
skills you learn, number one, confidence. So, for example, like a lot of Malaysians, they are told by their parents, oh, you need to study, you need to come home and study your books, you know, study. If you're into marketing, for example, or you're studying, like to be a lawyer or something. Yes, you need to learn certain things. But if you're a lawyer, for example, you need to learn how to present,
Argue your
articulate.
case, yes.
If you're in marketing and you have a pitch, you need to know how to pitch. You need to know how to talk. You need to be confident. And I think things like that, like kind of life skills and, things like performing arts, I think sometimes can help you get a deal or a job. If you're stuck in your room studying books like 10 hours a day, you're not allowed to go out and talk to friends and mingle. You are going to be so like unconfident when you go out there, and you probably won't get a good job. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's a real thing. I think people are starting to wise up to it because you see a lot more performing arts like supplements. You can take it as a degree course in some of the universities here, and there are also more, like classes you can take because I think a couple like Reddit forums, and there are a lot of people who struggle with public speaking, not just here but globally. How to pitch, how to just talk to people, or they're just like, I have a nervous breakdown every time I talk to a room full of suits.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that makes or breaks your career. Like, how are you supposed to advance? How are you supposed to get hired?
Imagine you study like 10 hours a day, you are an encyclopedia of numbers, and then it comes to a presentation and you go on stage and the whole floor's like, oh, what is this? This guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he's not got that confidence. So I think musical theatre is something that could help, stage presence, for example,
Yeah. Or like camera presence or people presence, I'm guessing.
Exactly, yeah.
Ah, okay. So going back to content creation, because I'm kind of doing this dual parallel thing of like, your past and what have you done, sir? And then like, oh, you're doing this thing and the landscape is constantly changing. So like, what are your thoughts on, the encroachment of AI and all this, like the future of what you're doing? Because people could be like, oh, yeah, I do this thing. I could be a content creator, like Mark or some of the other people doing their own stuff. But then, like, when they start making it and then all this stuff comes in, what does that mean?
I think content creation is one of the jobs that actually can use AI to excel more. I think there's other jobs that need to worry a bit more with AI. For example, like copywriters or, designers. I think they're the ones that...
Writers, too.
Yeah. Content creation... It's kind of what's what I'm looking for. It kind of enhances my content creation. For example, like I will come up with my ideas. Sometimes I'll put it into ChatGPT, and I'm okay, can you make this more wittier? Like I never use like anything from ChatGPT if it's like a actual script, but
it's used as like a foundation.
It can give you like brainstorming. It's fantastic.
Right.
And there's also like music as well. There's some music things that are crazy, which can only help me if I'm doing like a kind of client job where I need to have some stock footage of videos to overlay with me talking. Like so many amazing platforms now, and AI tools that you can do for that. Like CapCut, for example. I know it's not really AI, but that app has just changed my life. Like literally, it is the best thing to happen in the world.
The AI subtitles?
The AI subtitles saves hours.
It's so such a lifesaver.
I mean, you can do voice changer there now. It's just it's amazing. I'm not like being sponsored by CapCut. If you want to sponsor me, please do. I love you.
Please sponsor Mark OD for CapCut. Like, he loves you.
I literally am in I will marry you right now. Sorry, Joanne. CapCut, you are my future. But like I don't see it as a threat, as to say. I think in any job, people need to stop complaining and just get on with things. Like you have people nowadays saying things like, "Oh, AI is taking over." Well, what about the shop assistants who got taken over by machines? When the automatic machines.
Yeah, I know.
What about the miners in the 1960s? What about the people who were sewing? Now factories. Every job, technology advances. And I think when people say things like, oh, AI, no, this is not like, like actors, for example, complaining about, Netflix. I'm sorry, they're trying to save money. Like, why wouldn't they use it? I think people have to adapt. And I mean, I might sound like a bit of a douche by saying this, but I think every single profession, technology has evolved where people have suffered or people have got cut. So you have to think, okay, shit, AI can do this. What can I do that AI can't do? You know what I mean? Rather than just complain about it, which
Right.
is what I'm doing.
No, fair enough. I get where you're coming from. I think where the biggest arguments I see the standoff is the creative fields, right? So the creative fields being the idea that the arts is a space for humans to dream and express themselves. When the machine takes over that, the machine, it's a very fine line of, can the machine actually process and develop its own art, or is it just using a whole amalgamation of models from other people to put that out there?
Yeah, but then again, like, we watch Disney movies, don't we? That are cartoons, that are people's thoughts, and they all. I know it's kind of completely different, but that is not real humans, is it? It's someone like creating a script. So you're writing a prompt, and that's becoming alive in a way. I know it's completely different, but like, I think, I don't know. I'm excited for the future. I think, like, we don't know what's going to happen with AI. I think I'm surprised every month as it goes on, but I don't think people will. Like a few years ago, people were telling me, "Oh, everyone's going to be in the metaverse. We're all going to be like not going to work. We're going to be in like the
cyber reality matrix."
It's not happened,
right? Yeah.
So I think, I think there are lots of like content creation. I think people aren't going to want to watch AI stuff. There is a difference. I don't think it's going to get that good where it's better than a YouTuber, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, but say the day that does kind of happen, where there is an example, then you'll see Marco D with a pitchfork. AI's bad. CapCut, how could you? But fair enough. Okay, it's interesting. I never got to actually talk to you about like your views on AI, and I think it's a very, it's a rabbit hole, right? It'll affect so many industries and so many people.
But you have to. It's like a content creator. I've had to adapt, because people's
like a sink or swim kind of thing.
Yeah, I hate. I've grown to love making short form content. When TikTok first came out, I hated it. I was like, oh my god, like this is so crap. How can I like tell a story in 1 minute? But
it forces you to think in that box.
You have so many content creators that are like, no, I'm staying true to myself. I only do short films, 8-minute videos, and they
suffer for it.
You can stay true to yourself, but you can also get left behind.
Right.
You have to just, unfortunately, AI is a thing. So you have to just get on with it. There's no way it's ever going to say, okay, AI is banned. So you just have to adapt and just get on with it, I think. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. One question I'm really curious, not just for your opinions, but for like I'm also deeply curious is, as you make all this content creation, whatnot, how do you deal with the burnout? Because it's very on, right? You're always filming. You always got to come up with new ideas. Even though if you have AI and things to supplement your tools, it's an ongoing process. You need to like think of more things. What's current? What's this? How do you deal with those days where you're just like, oh gosh? Do you have like a schedule of, like, do you know if it's like that time of the month where you're just like, I'm going to blah?
So I don't get burnout. What I get is kind of disappointment that kind of stalls my creativity. So,
like a block kind of thing?
Not a block, more like low confidence and low like motivation to think of things. Right. My creativity has always been quite strong. I treat content creation as like a 9-to-5 job. So I normally have like, my day is like 10 till 6 normally. Wake up. If I'm not shooting like a client job, I'll be brainstorming other content. And I think if you're a content creator, if you want to be a full-time content creator, you have to treat your job like a full-time job. You can't just be like, oh, I go to the gym and I'll just wait for a job to come in, or I'll post this. Like, you have to think like, okay, I'm going to put this on this platform. I've got to stock up content. So if you're going on holiday, okay, I've got to have content stock up so I can do
got
this.
Stuff in the bank, basically, to like, throw out.
So I always have stuff in the bank, and I also will always watch like other kind of videos to get inspiration. So I don't really get burnout, actually. It's more of disappointment if I've spent ages on a video and the views don't match up.
Right.
That's the one thing that gets me, because I'm like, oh my God, like I spent ages on this, but the shittiest video that you filmed
In like 2 seconds.
might go viral. So then sometimes I'm like, oh, screw this is ridiculous. And I have no motivation. If a video of mine does really well, my motivation and creativity is like, you know, like, oh, my video will hit like a couple of million views. I'm like, wow, this is great. People love my stuff. Okay, like, what's next? Like, that's how I kind of operate. I get more motivation and more creativity when, like, I did a Squid Game parody, like, last week. Did so well. And I'm like, all right, great. Let's think about, like, a part 2. Like, what should we do? And I'm, like, getting all these ideas because I'm so happy and excited about it doing well.
Yeah.
Whereas if I've had, like, 2 weeks of shit viewership or shit reach, maybe I'm more like, oh man, like this is like, and I do get those days, but luckily for me, my videos are, I wouldn't say consistent, but there's always like one every 2 weeks. There's a banger. Like there's one that hits the million views or something. So it's kind of,
So how often does that happen? Like you mentioned, like there's one video that will go boom. How many times out of, so say you make 10 videos, right?
There's no such thing as telling when.
No, it's just like
no one
whatever.
can crack the algorithm. Yeah, it's just there was a point where I had like 10 videos in a row that did like over 500k views, which was crazy on Instagram and TikTok. And then there's been some times where like they've not hit 100,000, and it's like crap. Okay, I need to do one that is definitely going to perform well, and I still don't have a formula, and it's still all about trying out ideas.
I guess it kind of makes it exciting. It's like, oh, well, let's see what the algorithm gods are going to say today.
Exactly. Like, I won't bore you, but just an insightful kind of thing.
I'm bored. No, I'm kidding. go on.
Football. So my football videos have done crazy well. Like last year, I think I've done like 15 videos and 10 of them got 1 million views plus.
Nice.
So I wouldn't get people following my account, because football fans will look at my Instagram and they'll think, oh, this guy's video is funny, but he's posting about like Nazi Lemak, or he's posting about like talking in Chinese. I don't relate to any of this stuff, so why do I want to follow him? So I made a decision this year, okay, my football stuff is doing well. I've got a formula. I need to kind of grow, and I can't grow by posting it on my channel, because people who don't like football might be getting irritated by this and they might unfollow me. So this is what I mean about content creation. You have to think about like everything. So I thought to myself, I can do these football videos. I believe in my football content skills. Let's create a separate channel, and it's just purely football. I will collab my main account with this account and hopefully build it to a point where it can stand on its own.
Right.
And then anyone that sees those videos can look at that account and say, oh, these football videos are funny, I'm going to follow. And that's kind of like its own thing. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
I asked you to follow that account, right? Did you follow it?
Yeah, I think so.
Better done.
I don't know. What's it called? Marco D Football or
No. It's called Nutmeg Nation FC.
Nutmeg.
Yeah, and if you haven't followed it, Kai, by the end of this podcast, these cameras here, they're gonna go flying, mate.
Oh, that's okay. Why Nutmeg Nation?
Well, do you know what a nutmeg is?
Yes, it's the spice.
Okay, no, you don't know football.
No, okay.
Okay, a nutmeg in football is when you put it in between their legs.
Oh, is that what it's called?
It's like a famous kind
like the
of...
Olays, you know?
Like a jeté in ballet. Like a nutmeg is in football.
Okay.
It's Nutmeg Nation FC, like football club, basically.
Okay.
It was hard to think of a name because all the good names are taken. Now we're in 2024. Yeah.
I mean, it's like coming up with a new, like, pickleball.
Exactly.
Pickleball.
Exactly.
What about name my pickleball court? So what I want to ask, excuse me. Pardon me, ma'am. What I want to ask is, in Malaysia as a content creator, do you think Malaysians, both consumers and potentially people who hire you as a content creator to showcase their product, do they really value creativity?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay. Could you elaborate?
For example, some clients think they know best when they don't. Some clients let you be creative. You see a trend of before there would be like, production houses shooting, skits and adverts. Nowadays, they will go straight to the creators if they trust them, and they will say, okay, it's going to cost us like 30K to hire like a production team to shoot and edit and give us a video. We can pay an influencer like 10K to shoot, edit themselves and post on their platform and get a reach. So I think there's definitely value now for creators because more people are on their phones. They're on TikTok.
Yeah.
But I think some clients, I'm in a position, fortunately, where I can pick and choose like who I want to work with. If a client says to me like, "Oh, Mark, we want a viral video," you know, but you got to say this, and do like a TikTok dance with a bottle. I'm just like,
Okay.
how are you going to get views? Because it's so hard sell. And then I can fight my case. And then sometimes I won't take the job. Sometimes we'll kind of work out something that's kind of suits both parties, because you also can't be like a closed-minded content creator and say, no, I'm only doing what I want to do, because why is the client going to pay you then? You know, you have to kind of like meet in the middle. And I think that's very important.
That whole negotiation thing.
But you know, there are some great content creators out there that are making great like ads because they're very creative. And, you know, I think if you're a content creator, you have to make sure your branded stuff is good, because brands will look at your stuff and see what you do and then trust you. Yeah.
So talking about that whole meeting in the middle and negotiation, what's sort of one way to, as a content creator, really kind of negotiate your case and earn a fair slice of the pie?
I think you have to stand your ground, do something that your audience will like, and show the client exactly what you mean by that. You know, you have to say to the client, look, I don't do dancing videos, but, you know, my audience like this. So what if I incorporated this skit that I did that everyone liked with the brand? And if you give a good idea, I think most of the time they'll be like, oh, actually, we like that's cool, you know, go for it, we trust you. Don't just say no, I'm not doing that. Like, at least kind of provide something. And, you know, when I brainstorm or when I like pitch my ideas, I make sure it's like as good as it can be, so they can really like visualize what I mean. Yeah.
And finally, like, since we're talking about all this stuff, what advice would you give to current or upcoming content creators or people who are just starting out?
Yeah. I think if you want to be a content creator, you have to treat it as a full-time job.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of content creators who, you know, post videos for fun, get one viral video, and then they think, oh, look at me, I got like fame, or, you know, oh, I've got all these views, and they won't really like kind of go on it. They'll just like take every brand deal they can, and then their Instagram just becomes like a marketplace. You have to really treat it as a full-time job and love what you do. I think in any job you have to love what you do, or you ain't gonna get anywhere, because, you know, you have to be prepared to work like over hours. But for me, I don't mind working over hours because I love making videos. I love editing stuff. I love putting a video out there and someone says to me like, oh, your video, you know, I had a bad day, your video like made me smile. Like, that's the kind of stuff I love. So I will happily do it. But if you don't like making videos, if you don't have the patience to edit, then you're in the wrong industry, because there's hundreds of other people that do like to do that, and they will get further than you in life.
Right.
Yeah.
So what about those people who do have full-time jobs? How do you find that right balance of, I've got my full-time day job, but I do want to turn this into a full-time job as well? How do I find that healthy, good, creative balance?
Pick a niche that doesn't take long to edit and to shoot.
Okay.
I think, you know, you can definitely get away with it. Or if you really want to be a full-time content creator and you have a full-time job, just go for it. You know, like, work those extra hours, you know, until you realize, okay, like, you know, I'm getting better reach. You know, you can't just expect millions of followers or millions of views to come overnight. Like, you have to really just go for it. And if it's something you want to, like in any job, you know, if your mum says, oh, you know, don't be an artist, don't be a musician, because, you know, like, not much good money, you know, be a lawyer, be a doctor. Like, you have to prove them wrong and say, okay, I'll study, I'll get my degree in lawyer, whatever, but I will, on the side, I'm going to show my mum that, you know, I'm a really good musician. I'm going to show her that, you know, I'm a great artist, and provide for myself. And I think you could do that with content creation as well. You have to prove that, okay, I've got a full-time job, but I'm going to smash it on social media. And to get there, I have to work hard, but I really want this. And if you really want it, I truly believe you can get there, yeah.
For those people who are hopefully feeling inspired from what you're saying, but are still just not fully convinced or have that tiny shred of self-doubt, what can you say to them to really get them to just do,
Honestly,
create?
if you have self-doubt, I wouldn't advise doing it.
Right.
I think like it's a tough throat world, like, you know, a cutthroat world, a tough throat world. So
Same
like,
thing.
Yeah, I think you have to believe in yourself. You have to be prepared for stuff. I think it's so cutthroat. You know, a lot of content creators say things on threads like, "Oh my God, I hate all these like negative comments I get from my videos. You know, it's so bad." If you're not prepared to have those, why are you putting your videos out there in the first place?
Of course.
I think if you put your videos online to hundreds and thousands of people, you have to be prepared to face the public. Or if not, don't be a content creator. It sounds really harsh, but it's just the truth. You wouldn't go on stage if you were scared to sing.
Yep.
So if you have like, oh, I'm scared that people aren't going to like my stuff, you're in the, there's no point. Like just or if you have like confidence issues where, you know, you're worried someone's going to say you look this way or something. Social media is horrible. Like on a daily basis, I'll get like, you know, abuse or people say things to me, but
Yeah.
I tell myself like, Mark, you've chosen to put your video online. You have to like face the music. Like as long as like 95% of the comments are good, I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And finally, what do you want to say to that one or two people that are going to watch this and absolutely shred and insult you in your DMs and just like say the most worst things? in your DMs?
Thanks for the algorithm, because the more you DM me, the more you comment on my stories, the it's good for my algorithm.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Keep them coming, guys.
Thank you so much for ripping into Marco D, because it's going to help our video too.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like haters, I never get like annoyed, because I think like if people are like hating on me, or you know, they're
And
I must be doing something right.
like they're not just hating on you; they're consistent
Yeah.
with their disgust and hate.
I've got this one guy who
I know. I was gonna say that's why I was like, "What do you want to say to him?"
he doesn't follow me, but every day he checks my stories. Every day he replies my stories, and I reply to
Every
him.
single story.
Every story, and I'm like, mate,
How long has this spree been going on
like
for?
6 months.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know who this guy is.
Mark, you have a fan.
So
You have a hate fan. I think that's something that isn't like it should be a thing and should be like called out. Like you have fans, and then you have hate fans.
Hate fans, yeah.
who just want to hate you so much
Yeah.
and like,
But
express that.
There's not many. Like honestly, it is 95% positive. But
That's good.
But like I said, if you want to be a content creator, like it sounds really harsh, but if you post a video online to the public, you have to be prepared to get those kind of comments. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
it's like Gordon Ramsay says, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. I think it's the same thing, because, you know, I think like things like cyberbullying, yeah, that's completely different. But
Right.
if someone posts a comment saying, "Oh, you're not funny," or you can't be like, "Oh my God, I'm not funny." You have to just, it's just how it is.
It's like, cool, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much. I love you so much. diffuse hate with more, more love, I guess. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Mark, thank you for sharing your views on the future, what it's like to be a content creator in Malaysia in this day and age, and also sharing a bit about your past. I think a lot of people really don't know about. So thank you for just being so open and demure.
Thank you for
about
having
it.
me. I'm very honored to be the first guest.
Yes, this is the very first episode with Mark OD. You can check out all our videos on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. That is Koepii Studios. Take care. Have a Koepii.